Sunday, June 12th, 2022. Today on the Daily Review, I do one more highly recommended Indian cinema film called K.G.F. Chapter 1 with your host, me, Professor Joe LaRocca. Now, this is the first Kannada film to be released in all 5 languages there, in Hindi, in Tamil, in Telugu, in Malay, and then in original language. So that's cool, important, as I've learned that there are kind of 5 regions of India that where the 5 different languages are predominant, and their industry used to be, regional, which makes sense. That happens in a lot of countries. But then Bahubali, the movie I did a week ago or whatever, was the first movie that was like and helped start this idea of pan-Indian cinema. And then you can have bigger budgets if you can sell it to other regions. So things being translated into a bunch of different languages is always a good thing, And I'm sure on some level it may help unify a nation. You know what I mean? I said that as a joke, but I do mean that. I think culture is great. Now let me get all the praise out of the way and things that you don't have to keep telling me that I know. Yes, I realize that I've misused the word Bollywood once. You don't need to tell me in every fucking review. Yes, you have answered the question on the CGI animals. Thank you. Again, you don't need to keep telling me. Another thing that a lot of commenters seem to be confusing is quality of film and storytelling versus like budget and box office. Like those things are important, how much a movie made and how much it costs to make, but if it doesn't determine whether a movie's good. Like you can have a movie where somebody spent like $1 billion trillion and it doesn't mean it's the best movie ever made. And then same thing on the other side. Just because something's the highest grossing movie of the year or of the past 10 years or ever, that doesn't mean it's the greatest movie ever. Because, with inflation, it's Gone with the Wind. That movie's kind of a mess. I do like it, but, it's not perfect by any means. And then, currently, what's the highest grossing movie? I'm not even sure. It's probably the Star Wars maybe? One of the Star Warsies? I don't know, but they're certainly not like the best movies ever made. So sometimes I'm like, if I say, I want these to be more popular in America, I just mean people are like, they make money internationally. I'm like, no, I know. And they do make money in the United States as well. But it's not like, it's not at the same level that I think it could be at. That's all I'm saying. It's actually praise, and some people take it wrong. Now that I've said all this nice stuff, let's talk about this movie. I didn't like this movie at all. Like, this is, in my opinion, not a good movie. It breaks my second rule of filmmaking, which is style over substance. Never do it. Never have style over substance, meaning don't just do stuff because it's cool. You do it because it, is all tied into the story and the characters. This movie would be fine if it were an hour and a half long, but they make it this epic drama, and the plot is so flimsy and immature. I was really disappointed that the character didn't have more of an arc, but it's basically this little kid, his mother's dying, and he says, listen, without money, you can't live peacefully, and you can't die peacefully. So you got to be powerful, and if you're powerful, you'll have money. With power comes money, and then with money comes peace. That's the idea. But so it's like achieving. Malcolm X would have loved this movie. It's like achieving peace through violence or something like that. So the whole movie is then framed in, which I did like this aspect of it. I think this is kind of cool. It's framed in a book, a journalist interviewing a guy who wrote a book that has been banned, that had the famed location of a El Dorado type city. That's what K.G.F stands for, like a city of gold. And so then through that we get like these backstory. You know what I mean? It's kind of that's really smart. I think that's the cool part. And it's about this kid Rocky, played by Yash, who I'm sure is incredibly popular in India, but I had never heard of him. And he seems like a pretty cool dude. He seems like their Brad Pitt or something like that. Like he's super hot and fucking cool. You know what I mean? So his name is Rocky, and he basically just like works his way up in the Bombay crime scene by like killing off all the other dons and stuff. And so ultimately it's about like class warfare and greed. And I guess it's got kind of like a little bit of like, I guess there's like a bit of Scarface in there and a bit of other things, but to me it just, his character, he's like the man with no name, and he's Batman, and he's the Joker. Like he's just everything. Like one part, he does this move where he does that thing, where you break a guy's arm over your shoulder, but you just break it at the elbow, but you do it. It makes in the movie, and then they go he does that, and then he takes the guy's hand that's like broken over his arm and goes and combs his hair with it. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. That it's supposed to be like a video game level insanity, but which I'm fine with. I'm fine with movies like Crank or whatever, but this to me this got tedious and exhausting to watch at its length, with the style of editing, that frenetic like just spastic editing, which I hope people don't take this like personal. This is not like a me chastising all of Indian cinema by any means. I just thought that this one, despite looking great, all these movies like technically look good and are working on so many good levels, like with big sets and stuff like that, and pretty original action stuff. But I'm not like I don't know. I don't love violence for violence sake, especially when it's not built into the story as nicely. I thought the sound design was really bad, and I don't know if there was something wrong. I know how I'm supposed to watch these too. You watch them in the original language, that they were written in, so that the mouths line up, the dubbing, and then subtitles. That's how you should watch all foreign films, in case you're wondering. Unless that's too big of a hurdle and it's going to prevent you from watching it. But you should always watch it in the original language. It's less distracting, and the flow of the sound, even if you don't understand it, it goes into the performance much more, in my opinion. So somebody noted that, because there's all 5 releases of this movie. The editing is no different. They're all the same length, but they're just in different languages. But they're very smart. They put like different posters for each one, just to like kind of spread the marketing out. Well, maybe you like this one, or maybe we know that in this region, like this color is tested better, so let's put them, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's all that goes into it. It's really fascinating, because we don't really have that same thing in America. We have like, our cinema breaks down in it's not regional. It's more like, I guess there's kind of an East Coast, West Coast thing, but which is like a style, like Hollywood versus like kind of a smaller, grittier thing. But it's more in like tiers of budgets. That's kind of how our movies break down. There's like the super big ones, and then like the indie ones, which are funded by the super big ones, and then there's the truly indie ones, which is people who just like make a movie with some money. And then like it's not like pre-sold, doesn't have like Alan Arkin in it, Anyway, so this movie, if I had been like a huge fan of Yash before this and like knew who he was, I'd be like, oh, this is fun, But since I didn't, and I didn't really care, was not engaged by the story. And then this style of editing is like my least favorite. This is like kind of, in a lot of ways, I'm surprised I didn't not like this more, because in a lot of ways this is my least favorite type of filmmaking. Just bombastic, over the top, spastic, brutish, like a brutish, like a frat boy kind of filmmaking style. I did not like the sound design. I thought the music was too over the top, which you'd be like, oh, the movie's over the top, it's supposed to be over the top. But like, here's just one here. Let me give you an example of why it's bad storytelling, and then so that I don't have to defend myself in the comments. Like we see Rocky taking out all, like this montage of like super violence of him taking out all of these quote unquote bad guys, but we haven't seen any of those bad guys do anything wrong. We're just told that they're like all the street dogs of Bombay fucking cowered under his foot, and he's just like curb stomping people. What we should have seen is a scene where those people are doing something bad, so that we can be like, oh, this guy, he's brutal and everything, but he's about justice. And instead it just feels like, oh no, he's just, and it's probably, it's got a true state. Like, yeah, you just fucking bull your way through everything in life and just act confident and act like you're powerful, and you'll get it probably, especially if you're incredibly violent, But yeah, it represents all the things I don't like about mainstream cinema in every culture. So I'm not going to give it a very good grade, and people are probably going to be upset with me. There are some things to definitely watch in there, and there's some fun stuff, but going to have to give it a C+. I'm really sorry, 'cause I'm not sorry. It's just the truth. I didn't like it. And if it were, and I'm probably actually giving it a little bit of a boost, because there were some unique things that I just don't see as much in Hollywood film. So if this were like a Hollywood film and that was Vin Diesel and basically the identical stuff happened, I'd probably give it an even lower grade. So just because I know that we can do something different, and I know, this movie at first, it reminded me of National Treasure, and I was like, ooh, it's gonna be like a pulpy pop thing, and then I don't know. Too long. Why? What is the history behind the length of Indian movies? That is a question that one of our Indian subs could answer for me. Like, what is not your speculation, but like, what is, because in America we have, like, specifically, you're not supposed to go over 220 because it limits the amount of screenings you can have in a day. So like, and so I wonder what that was, that where it became just like tradition for your movie, even if it's a comedy, to be over 2.5 hours. I would love to know like what started that and what the history is of it, and if it's a cultural thing or if it was based on an economic thing or something. Yay, I bet it's something cool. Anyway, I didn't like this movie at all, to the point where it felt like a fucking parody of this type of movie. Okay, you can like and subscribe if you like to subscribe. I'm here every day. You can be here as much as you want. Why isn't that working? Why isn't that working? Oh, hey, it worked. Okay, that's pretty much it. I will watch Chapter 2 eventually, not tomorrow, but in the next day or two. I got to do the big, dumb Jurassic Park movie, which I'm sure is just as stupid as this movie. But I'm sure they spent more money on it, so that means it's better. That was sarcasm, by the way. Okay, see you later, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.